the Carabao Cup. The draw has just been made, and Spurs been drawn against Chelsea in the semi-finals. Well, what semi-final? That sounds to me. I've got three very good guests joining me tonight to talk about Spurs victory against some of the same under. You've got Antonio Conte, it's a very regular thing now under. You've got Josh, you've got Graham, you've got Gary. So I'll come to you first. Now, I know you're at home. You've currently got COVID. How are you?
I'm all right, Chris. Yeah, it's good to be on. It's good to watch that good game. It's good to get the win. I'm really pleased to beat Wet Spam, as I call them. Oh, it feels so good, honestly. And as they sing, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. It's more like West Ham get battered everywhere they go. So come on, you Spurs. Love to see it. And let's have a good chat tonight, boys.
I'd like to see it all smiling yet again. As I said, Antonio Conte is becoming a pretty regular thing. Graham, welcome back to the channel again from the last time you were on a year or so ago. And I actually met you when I was doing the updates of our brand new studies. So how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Chris. Just a bit of trouble hearing you, but really happy to see Spurs win. As Josh has just said, it's always a good win when we beat West Ham. I was a little bit nervous towards the end, but we're really pleased to be in the next round and pleased to be here to talk about Tottenham with you, Chris, and also with Gary as well. So great. Thanks for having me.
Gary, come to you. Of course, I talk about trophies a lot. We speak a lot on the phone. I'm always talking about trophies. Are the trophies coming?
Well, I can't really hear much of what you're saying, but I pretty much can guess you definitely mentioned trophies about 7 times there. So are the trophies coming? Well, do you know what? I thought the semis was just 1 leg, but it's still over 2 legs. So when I saw we drew Chelsea away, I wasn't very happy. But as it stands, it's over 2 legs. So I think Chelsea away to begin with, get them back at ours, and I think get Liverpool in the final or even Woolwich, and I think we can do it. Yeah, 100%. But I do want 2 legs because Josh, Graham and Chris, as you will know, we haven't got a great record at Chelsea's ground. So 2 legs would be a lot better for me, I think. Yeah.
It's going to be a very hard game.
Yeah.
Josh, it's up to you. What are your thoughts on tonight's match?
Well, I thought it was a spectacular display of game management, especially in the second half. I thought we held ourselves pretty well, especially if you compare it and contrast the game when we were 3-0 up against West Ham under Jose. And we completely collapsed, didn't we? But today we held that 2-1. Conte got the boys, although they were playing deep and they were actually having to defend the lead, they did it. And they did it well. I thought we actually, although we were under the cosh a bit, from West Ham for quite a lot of the second half, I thought we did all right. I genuinely thought we held out strong. I thought the players, they didn't disappear, a bit like Chris now. They didn't go on.
Yeah. I think he's signing out and signing back in.
But yeah, I think they turned up. The boys turned up. I'm happy that they got the win because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Getting over the line, getting that win, getting through to the next round. Gary, did you say we've got Chelsea?
Yeah, so we've drawn Chelsea away. So I wasn't overly happy, as my wife will tell you, because she was upstairs and I swore a little bit. But then I found out quite quickly afterwards it's still over 2 legs. So for me personally, Josh, I don't know how you guys feel, but I think that's a perfect draw for me. I think get Chelsea at theirs for the first one, and second one getting back to ours, and I think we got more than enough. But if it was just the 1 leg, I don't think I would have been as happy. Well, I wasn't when I thought that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, knowing our luck with COVID, it will be 1 leg, and we'll bloody lose at Chelsea, won't we? I was going to say, there's no second leg.
Worry, Graham, but they have stated at the moment, as it stands, it is 2 legs. So I'm just hoping it stays like that. Obviously, if we had them at home, I'd be praying it was only 1 leg. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, look, like what Chris will say, you've just got to beat whoever's in front of you, whoever it may be. If we're going to win it, whether it's Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, own way, you got to beat them, in you. So it is what it is, isn't it? So, you know.
Graham, let's come to you. Your thoughts on tonight's game?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I thought we started quite lively. I thought certainly in the first half, I was really pleased with a bit of Conte ball. You could see that Spurs had some patterns of play. There was some passing of the ball, which we hadn't really seen much of under Nuno, especially I really like the fact there were some triangles, trying to keep the ball, and also trying to do some different things as well. I don't know if you noticed, but from time to time, Sanchez would go marauding up pitch to try and give us an extra attacker and try and disrupt their lines, which is kind of an interesting tactic. And you can see Conte's mind at work here, where we're trying to not only just keep the ball, but pass it through the lines. And I was really encouraged by that. I think, you could see the tenacity in our play in the sort of middle of the first half. So both of our goals came from real strong driving pushes into the box, things that we hadn't really seen before, especially under Nuno and sort of latterly under Jose. We'd really lacked that sort of attacking threat. There was a lot of touches in the box, and we really sort of gave West Ham, as Josh said, some trouble in defence. And I like the way we were trying to keep the ball, not just hook it long, as Klopp was saying we did. We actually played some nice stuff, and both of the goals were nice finishes, close in. But West Ham, let's be honest, West Ham gave us a good fight. They really battled hard, and I was impressed with Bowen and Lanzini, both sort of inventive, and really, really worried about their attacking threat in the air, especially from the set piece. Pretty much every corner had my heart in my mouth. Particularly with Souček and Dawson, who are both really good in the air, and arguably, Dawson should have scored. I think he flicked it just over the bar. Souček always dangerous when the ball came in. There was a really good defensive move from Skip where he flicked the ball away and kept them at bay. And of course, Hugo ultimately man of the match for us. So 2 smart finishes from Lucas and Bergwijn. Both of them really needed a goal. But also, man of the match, Hugo, for me, because West Ham really came on strong, especially in the second half. I was really worried towards the end of the game that we were going to get a repeat sort of last-minute equaliser from West Ham, and they're bound to get a while. It would be really disappointing. But one thing I just want to mention as well was the crowd. I mean, fantastic. The support we could hear. I couldn't be there today. I'm sort of recovering from illness, but usually I'm part of the South Stand, belting out the songs, and they were absolutely magnificent. My hat, if I had a hat on, my hat off to all the Spurs fans who made sure that Bubbles dreadful song wasn't really heard much, and the Spurs voices were just echoing around the stadium. A classic cup tie, and really, really great to get the win and be in the next round, Chris.
Gary, let's come to you. Are you feeling it now, Gary? Are you feeling like we're that close again?
I know. Listen, we were here last year, weren't we? I mean, we won't even touch on the Europa Conference. I don't want to talk about too much of that, seeing how much you may have been through with that. But look, it's there. We're in the semis. We made it. And like what Graham said, I think the performance first half from us was really, really good. I think Tottenham just have this problem where they just sit back. I don't even know if they generally mean to do it, because I think under Conte, we are still pushing for that next goal. But it just seems that naturally we start defending deep and sitting back. And then, we don't have to mention about the draw with them the other season. But because it was only 2-1, you're just thinking in the back of your mind, unless we get that third goal, something's going to happen. And it did. Thankfully, they hit the crossbar at the end and it didn't go in. But my worry was when Son, he's not quite match fit, Son, at the moment. And he had that opportunity, and normally his first touch is so good, and he just didn't control it quite right. And when that chance got away from us, I don't know how everyone else is. I wasn't at the game tonight myself. I was here watching it. But when things like that happen, it always seems the team go up the other end and score. And that's how I was feeling when Son missed that chance. But thankfully, we held on and we won 2-1. And apart from that kind of scare right at the end, they didn't really offer that much, West Ham. Second half, I thought overall we deserved it. We were the better team, but like what Graham mentioned, Hugo for me, man of the match. I mean, some of his saves are just that one that was lobbing over him. I mean, that save to get back the way he did, and he had to time his jump to perfection for that. That's not an easy save. Sometimes them reaction saves are a lot easier than them ones. But yeah, amazing. He kept us in that tonight. There's no doubt about that. So fair play to Hugo.
I love how you were going to reenact that save, Gary. Do you want to do that again?
Yeah, I was like, I went to him and then I thought I'm going to fall off my spinny chair here because I'll be like.
Josh, let's come to you. How would you describe this short time of Antonio Conte's reign as Tottenham Hotspur head coach? Because it just seems like he has completely transformed this team. You know, when you look at the performance against Liverpool at the weekend, the performance tonight, you know, I just feel like the old Pochettino days of like, we're not going to lose these matches anymore.
No, I know. That's exactly what I was going to say to you. I feel belief. There's belief in the squad. I think there's more passion. There's more belief. I think they fit. I think they've been inspired. I think the players actually look inspired because if you look at the players that he's using, Antonio Conte is actually utilising the whole squad. We've got Steven Bergwijn, a player who's been an outcast under several last managers, and then he goes and gets a goal and assist tonight in an important cup tie against a decent West Ham side. That's probably their best side for the last 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Look, it's an amazing achievement. I'm not a massive person who gets involved with Daniel Levy, but I'm really happy Daniel Levy's brought in Antonio Conte because it's made such a positive impact for our football club. And like you said, Chris, I just don't see us losing games. I don't want to tempt fate. Let me touch some wood after saying that. But yeah, I think if we can keep this run of form going. We haven't lost at home under Conte. We're unbeaten at home under Conte. Although we didn't keep a clean sheet today, I thought we defended well. Hugo Lloris, one thing I've noticed about Hugo Lloris, it's almost like Conte's goalkeeping coaches have come in and they've made him much more dominant in the box. He keeps he gets up and he whacks the ball away with his hands. I never used to do that. He always looks a bit vulnerable, but now he looks like commandeering the box way more. Eric Dyer, Antonio Conte going on about you can be world class. I mean, we were laughing at Eric Dyer last year. I mean, look at the changes that these players are undergoing at the moment. I mean, I think
and the year before.
I agree. Anything's possible under Antonio Conte. He's a great manager, an amazing manager who always wins trophies wherever he goes. And although we said that under Jose, hopefully this time there's going to be a change.
Yeah,
absolutely. Graham, just before we talk about the actual game, I just want to give you your opportunity to talk about our brand new boss, because what do you think the major changes are? What has Antonio Conte done since he has come in to change this so much?
Well, I think, first thing is Conte demands respect, right? He had a fabulous record as a player at Juventus, won it all. And then he's progressed through the managerial ranks in Italy. He has developed a brand of football, a style of football where he can adapt. Yes, he sort of favours, I think what we're seeing now is the 3-5-2, and the trophies are coming. I think we can all see that. It's about time Gary's just put that there. We all deserve trophies and we want trophies. And Antonio is the man. He has to be the man to bring the trophies to Tottenham. And if we look at his style of play, you can certainly see in the early games that not only is he trying to give us more attacking threat, I think you can see that in the second half today, and you saw that in the game against Liverpool where Kane and Son provide that dual threat, but he can also change it up. He provided sort of wing play for Kane as the centre point of our attack with Lucas and Bergwijn in the first half, and he also has made players like Dyer and Sanchez into players who can actually pass the ball, chip it over the top, and give us the opportunity to run through on goal and give us that other attacking dimension. And I think, he also improves players. You can see that with the likes of Winks. I mean, I don't know, it was even a few games ago that people were deriding Winks and saying that he's got to go. And then couple of performances, including some of the gameplay tonight and against Liverpool, where he's able to, pick up a ball instead of just play it back and play it safe. He's looking forwards, he's looking for the runners. And as I mentioned earlier, you can see the triangles, you can see the pattern to play, you can see the drilling of the players. And I think, importantly, for us as Spurs fans, all we want to see, Chris, is effort. And I think Sky showed it tonight. We've gone from being 20th, so last in the league with our running stats, to being first now, outrunning teams like Liverpool, demonstrating that we've got some fight. And that's what the fans want, as well as the footballing ability and the tactical masterclass that Conte's going to bring to Tottenham. He really has rejuvenated not just the team, but he's also, I think, uniting the fan base. It's great, and you can see that with the fans in the stadium. We've moved from being apathetic, booing, generally feeling frustrated with what we're seeing in front of us, to now a club where there is optimism. And as you said it, Chris, it feels like we can go into games and get those wins and beat teams. Beating teams like Liverpool and West Ham under Nuno and under Jose would have been some kind of horror show for us. We'd have been drinking it, looking through our eyes at what was happening in front of us, desperate to hold on to something and then ultimately lose the game. And the fact that Conte, with his strength of personality, I don't know if you saw him on the sidelines, but halfway through the sort of second half, he was imploring the team, as Gary was saying, we were defending deep, and Conte's imploring the team to get out of the field, and press from the front, defend from the front. And that sort of desire, that will to win, the tactics, the ability to make better players. I could go on and on all night, Chris, but ultimately, he brings the feel good to Tottenham.
It's good. It's good.
Do you know what, Graham? Today and the Liverpool game at the weekend, I actually sat right behind Conte in row 10. And half the game I actually watched Conte, not the actual game, because he is so entertaining. I could listen to him for the whole match, constantly shouting, and I love to hear what he's saying to a lot of the players. Yeah. And it was so funny. In the second half, Davinson Sanchez was just about to take a throw in, and it was actually inside our half. Antonio Conte shouted at him, hey, really shouted, and said, here. So it was like right in front of him. He then ran to take the throw in there. The referee then pulled it back a little bit, and so halfway. But it was just so funny the way that Antonio Conte was even demanding to take the throw in at a certain place. I just thought, it's wonderful. I just absolutely love watching our manager, because he is so demanding, and I'm sure that he will be very, very successful the way he is so demanding. And when you see what he has changed in this 6 weeks, 6 weeks ago, we weren't even having on a shot on target. Many fans around me couldn't even be bothered to turn up to watch, some of these matches. So it's incredible transformation. Gary, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11. Of course, an hour before kickoff, starting 11 was announced. A number of the players against Liverpool played extremely well. Dele and Harry Winks, for example, Ndombele, none of them were in the starting lineup today. Starting lineup in this evening's game, Hugo Lloris in goal, which a lot of people thought Galini would play, but Lloris started. Doherty at right wing back, Reguilon on the other side, and then Dyer, Sanchez and Davis. In midfield, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Oliver Skip, and then the forward line of Harry Kane, Steven Bergwijn, Lucas Moura. I think Steven Bergwijn was a surprise to a lot of people, because he only played 13 minutes up to this point under Antonio Conte. So to see Steven Bergwijn in the starting 11, what did you think?
Yeah, I must admit, I was pleased to see Lloris in goal, and we'll just start with that, because I'm never really confident when Galini's in goal. I have to be honest with that. But I wasn't so concerned with the changes, because I knew he would make changes. Although it was a great team he put out on Sunday, you have to rotate. Some of the players are still recovering from COVID. It is what it is. I see a lot on social media, people are complaining, why not put out the same 11? But it's not as simple as that. You can't. You got to change it around and stuff. But for Bergwijn, wow. He had a great first half. It was absolutely insane. Brilliant. And I think we probably all saw the clip last season where he was over on the far line. He did that quick bit of feet, and and it was kind of made a meme out of. And that's what his feet were like tonight. He's very good in close tight spaces like that. Obviously with Bergwijn, it was the final ball and it was, getting the goals. Yeah. But tonight he came good. And I think once he got his goal, he grew in confident. And I thought he'd probably stay on for the whole game. But at the same time, I wasn't disappointed for him to be subbed off, because he had a good game. And, I'm sure he'll play in the next one now. But do you know what, Chris? It's just nice to be able to change it around, leave Son on the bench to rest, because I think we can all agree he's not fully fit, Son, at the moment. He's not 100%. He's not quite right. So to bring someone like Bergwijn in, and apart from Lloris, he was probably man of the match. He had a really good game. So it's positive. It's really positive. It's good.
Bergwijn was actually awarded the man of the match award, but I'm with Graham on this one. I think that Hugo Lloris definitely should have got man of the match, because
I can see why they gave it to Bergwijn, but I would go with Lloris as well. because he pulled off some insane saves tonight. He's just it seems the older he gets, the better he gets, Lloris. It's insane, isn't it? It's like what Josh said. He's like punching balls, and he seems more confident coming out for corners now. And so I know he got caught out once I think it was in the first half, wasn't it? He got caught once. But apart from that, he was pretty confident and strong coming out for crosses and everything. Good game for Lloris, really good.
Josh, same question to you. Your thoughts on the starting 11? Were you surprised by a couple of them? Because in particular, when you think back to games like the Mura game, where a lot of the Spurs players didn't take their opportunity, it seems that, when players are given opportunities now, we saw it on Sunday, we've seen it tonight, given an opportunity under Conte, they've got to take it, and they are taking it.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little bit surprised. I thought Winks and Ndombele were going to play again because I thought they were actually superb against Liverpool. And but then obviously it's a cup game and he's going to change it up a bit. And I do think that when Højbjerg plays, we're a bit slower in midfield. I think that explains he was on probably for protection in the second half to be a little bit more defensive. Whereas when you put in Ndombele and you've got Winks playing for the whole game, you've got way more progressive football, attacking football, putting the balls forwards within Ndombele. So it's a shame not seeing him play today because that assist he got against Liverpool was superb and obviously it cost us a lot of money and I'd like to see him get more game time. But yeah, I think Lloris starting in goal, also to the starting lineup, Lloris starting in goal, I think that's indicative that he's going to sign a new contract because if you look at the other teams playing tonight, Kelleher was playing in goal for Liverpool. He's their second keeper. It's obviously a cup competition. You'd expect our second keeper to play. So I think Lloris, Conte's got a lot of trust in him. Every manager we've had always puts a lot of trust in Hugo Lloris. He's a World Cup winning captain. He's showing so much loyalty to our football club. He really deserves not just a 1-year contract, even slap him a 2-year contract or even a 3-year contract. Because look at a goalkeeper like Buffon. They can go for years and years and years and they only get better. They're like fine wine, aren't they? The longer they go on and the older they are, they seem to taste better. So, give him a contract. Give him a contract because the worst thing we can do is lose such a solid position in our team. You just know every single game, Hugo Lloris is going to start in goal. You remove that and they'll cause a bit of instability in the team, I think. You bring in a Pickford or something and the team's just not going to trust him. You got to remember he's our captain as well. You remove that big voice from the dressing room, that big French voice from the dressing room, as we saw in the Amazon documentary. He's quite vocal. So I really don't think we should not offer him a contract. We must try and offer him a contract as a football club, and I'm sure Daniel Levy will get that sorted out.
I know we're going to go a little bit off topic here, but Graham, I want your thoughts on that because we're 7-8 days away from the January transfer window, and if Hugo Lloris out of contract at Spurs in the summer, he can actually talk to European clubs. Surely Tottenham has to get this done.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, and agree with Josh. We have to keep Hugo. He's not only has he been a fantastic servant, but tonight he showed that he's a top class keeper and. As sad as it sounds, I haven't been that impressed with Goalini. I know he's brought in as an understudy, but his shot-stopping ability consists of watching the balls fly past him into the net, and he doesn't inspire confidence in me. Yes, he might be young, but I don't think he's a suitable replacement for Hugo. And I also don't think that Hugo's shown any kind of dip in performance. He's still as athletic as he was. He's a world-class shot stopper, no mistake. I agree with what Josh and Gary have said about him being bolder and coming off his line. I think, last few seasons, fans like me might have been critical of Hugo for staying on his line and not making the most of trying to clear the ball, especially from a corner where, in defence, we've been weak for quite some time. We've really, yes, Dyer's come on, but we've really lacked that ability to clear our lines from the corners. Corners still really scare me. And the fact that Hugo can come out, command the area, punch the ball away, clear it, put it behind, it just gives us that extra defensive solidity that we lacked when he was staying on the line. And, you know, he's a great keeper. I think we should definitely be looking to offer him a contract. And, you know, with Antonio coming in, I think Hugo will be in a position where he's thinking, look, I want to stay at this club. This man's world class. He's going to make a great team. And I'd like to see out my days at Tottenham. And I hope to see Hugo doing that, because in my heart and in my mind, one day, you know, believe it or not, I can see Hugo as a future Tottenham manager. He's got the footballing brain. He's got the smarts. He understands what it's like to win. And I think he's the ideal candidate for a managerial position in the future. Yes, he's still a player, but he's got all the attributes of the experience, the ability, the authority, and, you know, the understanding of the game. So I really, really want to see Tottenham offer him the contract. And I think that's what will happen. Top bananas, David.
Graham, let's stay with you. I want to talk a little bit about Steven Bergwijn, because as I mentioned there, he'd only played 13 minutes under Conte until tonight. Got the start, got the opportunity under Conte tonight. Really took it. You know, as Josh said, got a goal, got an assist. Now, I noticed a huge difference with him just after 7 minutes, because he had the ball just on the edge of the box. And so many times when I've seen him play, it just doesn't seem that confident to me to shoot. You know, that's why he probably doesn't score many goals, and he normally lays it off to one of the other players. In the 7th minute, he actually shot outside, and then it went off for a corner. But then, of course, in the 29th minute, he put Tottenham Hotspur 1-0 up. Feel free to talk us through that goal and his performance tonight.
Yeah, as you said, Chris, I mean, Steve is clearly a player who is lacking confidence. I think, you know, Jose managed to sort of beat some of that out of him, and he hasn't been in favour under Nuno for the games where, you know, he perhaps was available. And I think he struggled with injuries. He struggled with, you know, trying to get a place in the team. He's a real mercurial talent, is Steve Bergwijn. Clearly, he showed ability in the Dutch league, but we've only seen flashes of that brilliance. You know, the Man City goal you'll remember on his debut, the goal against Man United. And also, I think some of the Spurs fans will recall a goal he scored for the Netherlands, which was a great sort of goal towards the end of the game in a recent European game. He's got all the raw talent. I think what Steve has really struggled with is, and it looks to me like he struggles with confidence and fitness. So, you know, he's got speed, he's got strength, he's got the ability, and we saw that in the goal today, to muscle defenders off the ball, to command and take control of the area. You know, nice little play between him on the edge of the box and to try and move into that position to get the goal. And, you know, yes, goals are confidence builders, but I still think that Steve is lacking in fitness, confidence, and, you know, really trying to find his place in the team, you know, the role that's going to work for him. Often what we do with Steve is we see him sort of making a charge towards the box, and then not a lot happens from that. He can often lay the ball off to another player. He's definitely not got that confidence in shooting. The game against Liverpool last season, where he hit the post where he's through on goal, is clearly something which, you know, he got a lot of stick for and damaged his confidence and his belief in himself as a player. And hopefully the goal tonight can start him on that route. Plus, with the sort of added fitness work that he'll need, I'm sure Conte was thinking about ketchup and mayonnaise for Steve and a few other players. But once he's got that fitness, that strength, and he can use some of that searing pace, he can be a real asset for Tottenham. It's just he's flat to deceive, and for fans like me, we get a bit frustrated because he's been around for a little while now, and we've not really seen enough of that quality from him. So let's hope, fingers crossed, this can be a good run for Steve.
Karen, let's come to you. I want your thoughts as well on Steven Bergwijn, because there's been so much talk about him possibly going out of the door in the January transfer window, or indeed the summer. You know, we've seen players coming in, we've seen players not really take their opportunities, but, you know, under Antonio Conte in the last couple of games, players are really starting to buy into this Antonio Conte thing that he is doing at Spurs right now. Do you see him being very successful in the future, or is he now clearly in the shop window to sell?
it's a tough one, you know. I mean, I'm laughing because I'm thinking, you know, if you'd have asked me this a week ago in regards to Winks, Dele, Bergwijn, you know, so many players just a week or two ago.
I just want to say that, Gary, because I was going to come on to this later, but as you've mentioned it, I think on most of the Tottenham Hotspur fans' list, if we were to, compile a list, and most of us have spoken about it on this channel a number of times, you know, a lot of these players would have been on this list. Eric Dyer would have been a lot on, you know, a lot
100%.
of people's list. Harry Winks, Tongion Ndombele, Steven Bergwijn, and now they're all starting to produce.
They've all played well. I mean, I will say Eric Dyer was at fault for the West Ham goal. Yeah, you know, very, very poor pass out. I don't know, you know, you just got to clear that ball, you know. But apart from that, he had a good game. Dele Alli, when he came on today, was quiet, but he did more than enough at Liverpool. Yes, he probably should have scored, but ultimately it makes a big difference. It makes a difference to me that the keeper saved that and he just didn't hit it wide. I know a lot of people are saying he should have scored, but it was a really good save. And also, he created a lot of chances. He was confident on the ball. But like what you said, Harry Winks, I mean, he's the first person I wanted out the door, right? The only person who I can't say at the moment, yes, well, again, we've not had much game time with him, really, apart from, say, his Doherty. So he's the only one probably at the moment where I'm a bit like, oh, I don't know. But if he was to ask me today, as opposed to 2 weeks ago, I'd say, I mean, I'm laughing when I say it, but I'd say definitely keep Harry Winks now because, you know, and you know what, Chris, you did call it because you did say out of all the players who Conte would improve the most was Winks. And I just laughed. I mean, I just thought it was another one of these. The trophies are coming, but...
Do you know what, Gary? When I was in the pub that day, someone came up to me and said, who do you think will be the most improved player under Antonio Conte? And I said Harry Winks, and most of the pub laughed and said, no chance, he will be out the door. And I said, Harry Winks is a player that Antonio Conte will work with, he will develop, and he will make a much, much better player. And I wouldn't be at all surprised within the next 6 months to a year that Harry Winks will be playing for England again. And people just burst into laughter.
No, but I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. And you know, and I think you could add Dele Alli to that as well. I honestly do. Because, you know, they are good players. They didn't come professional players by pure chance. And with the right, you know, manager, and the right skills. And, you know, like what Graham touched on, maybe it's just a case of a bit of confidence, fitness, tweaking their diets, and just knowing what systems to play them in. Because it's completely changed Dele Alli and it's completely changed Harry Winks. And yes, Dyer did make a mistake today, but ultimately, apart from that, he had a really good game. You know, Bergwijn was unrecognisable in this game tonight in comparison to other games, you know. So, and like Graham said, I do think he's lacking confidence, but definitely a goal's going to help him. And not just a goal, but his performance, you know, because it was a good performance as well. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's baffling because, you know, I can remember, you don't have to go back too long. And if you saw Harry Winks on the starting lineup, I think we all agree. We're all like, oh, but now we kind of want to see him. It's just mental.
I'll tell you what, it wasn't long ago since Gary and I done a 25-hour trip to Rennes and back without any sleep. And I tell you what, that trip, Gary done nothing but, you know, moan about Harry Winks, Ndombele, Dele Alli, etc. And now he's sitting here saying that Dele and Harry Winks are going to get in the England squad again. It's just an incredible transformation. Gary, sorry, Graham, did you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Conte's called him Winky, hasn't he? So clearly sort of renaming him as Rejuvenated, it's made him think, you know, what he needs to do, get up and down, with the ball, have that, you know, believe in himself a bit more. I think when Winks first broke into the Tottenham team, and you'll remember this, I certainly remember it from his England performances. He was a player who not only, you know, could pick up the ball from defence, but he could alleviate a bit of pressure. You know, what he could do was pick out a pass, move the ball forward, essentially be a player that's going to link the defence and the attack. And then for some reason, that seemed to evaporate from him. And he was the type of player where the ball get past him and he couldn't wait to get away with it. And I think that sort of blinkered style of football where you're playing with fear in your own capability, you're you're lacking in something. A lot of us, fans will call it confidence, but some of it's clearly just coaching and recognising where other players are supposed to be. And the sort of Winks and Højbjerg, pivot, certainly under Jose, didn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. It looked like something which was lacking invention and creativity, and you couldn't see where that link play was coming from. Now, what we're looking at is a completely different player. Clearly, he sat down in Conte's office, and Conte hasn't had to say, you Harry Winks' brother. Harry Winks has decided he needs to step up, because I think, all of us will recognise that we thought he was going to be on his way. It just wasn't working out for him, and it's really disappointing because Winks is a Spurs boy. He's born and bred Spurs. We want him to succeed, but on many occasions he would either frustrate us or let us down with the ability we are seeing on the pitch. And I think there was a game last season for me, and you guys might remember it well, where we played against Everton. I think it was in the Carabao Cup. I'm not sure it was the FA Cup, but my memory fails me there. But he came on towards the end of the game and had an absolutely shocking performance. And those types of performances are the things which fans remember, and they start to realise that players like Harry Winks, who once upon a time was a potential shooting star for Tottenham, had really fallen quite a long way. And now what we're seeing is the resurgence of Harry Winks under the masterful, silver-tongued, tactical brilliance of Antonio Conte.
Yeah. Do you know, Graham, there's nothing better in my eyes in the fact that, when players are given opportunities and they take them, I absolutely love that. And it just makes a victory, especially against one of our London rivals as well, just so much sweeter when, a lot of players who, quite regularly get slagged off by our own fans. I love seeing them take their opportunities, and I love seeing them do well. Josh, let's come to you with a point on screen now from Rhythm 2671. What do you guys make of players like Goalini and Romero being loan players? Will they be brought next season? I think it's fair to say that we will definitely be buying Romero, but in my opinion, I think Goalini will probably end up going back. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree with you, Oscar. I think Romero's definitely going to stay, because when he played, I thought he looked really quite decent. And I don't know what Conte's going to do with that, because Ben Davis, or his nickname Daddy Davis on Twitter, there's a funny meme going around from a while back. They've done a pretty good job. So I don't know if he's going to come in and replace Ben Davis or replace Sanchez. He obviously loves Eric Dyer, so he's not going to drop Dyer. But I can see Romero staying, and as you said, Goalini, I think he's off. He doesn't inspire much confidence in me personally. He seems like a nice guy, but at the end of the day, it's not going to pull it for being in our football club. I think we need a much better high quality keeper than that. I just remember Gazzaniga when he came in, and he just did a decent job, and he was a good shot stopper, obviously, until Lloris broke his arm and he had to play every single game, and he kind of lost confidence as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
But when he first came in and he was playing as our second keeper, I thought he was always inspired a bit of confidence. I remember a specific game when we went to the Emirates and knocked Arsenal out of the Carabao Cup and won, I think it was 2-0, and Dele Alli chipped Petr Cech. And in that game, he was unbelievable, Gazzaniga. He literally saved everything. And we need another keeper like that. Someone who's not going to want to start every game, but someone who's actually got some decent ability. And I'm not convinced by Goalini personally. But obviously, we've got the January transfer window coming up. It's going to be extremely interesting to see who's coming in and out. I don't know, as Gary was saying and as Graham was saying, if we're going to see departures of people like Dele Alli. People would have wanted him gone a couple of weeks ago, as you said, but now he's probably going to stay. I would assume Dele Alli's going to stay. I can see Doherty going in January. I just don't think we're going to keep him. And there's reports of us looking for another right wing back. So we're not going to have 3 or 4 right wing backs, because we'll have Tanganga who can play at right wing back, Doherty and Emerson. I mean, we're overloaded in that position. Doherty will be off. So I assume we're going to sign a right wing back and also a striker, and I quite like a creative midfielder as well. What about you?
We'll definitely come on, Josh, to talk about transfers because it's not very long away. Now, I absolutely love Adrian's comment on screen now, Antonio Conte. For anyone who knows me personally, I haven't stopped going on about Antonio Conte and haven't stopped smiling about his appointment. And for obvious reasons, we've now played 6 games at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 5 wins and a draw, which that draw against Liverpool, we should have got the 3 points and should have won that game. Conte, passion, pride, belief, determination, mental strength, winning mentality. I cannot speak enough about Antonio Conte on this channel. Absolutely adore the guy, and I think he is taking Hotspur places. Graham, let's come to you. Let's talk about West Ham's goal, because, of course, they equalised through Bowen in the 32nd minute. As Gary mentioned, Eric Dyer gave the ball away. Only a couple of days ago, Antonio Conte came out and said that Eric Dyer could be one of the best defenders in the world.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he's not covered himself in glory with that pass out from the back today, and it's really a catalogue of errors. Trying to be clever and play the ball through the lines, and I think it gets picked up by West Ham. They pass it off to, I think it was Vlasic who had a shot at goal, and then it hit Bowen. And then Bowen sort of turned and twisted beautifully. Actually, I really like Jared Bowen. I think he's a super talented player, and he's got that sort of grit and determination. And let's say he finished brilliantly. I mean, turned Dyer inside out after Dyer had made the original mistake. So a really frustrating goal to give away, Chris, and quite sort of disappointing, really. I think sort of West Ham did have a number of chances. I'm not one of these people who's really big into XG, but I think you find that they had pretty good XG, partly because of the Hugo saves. But Benrahma came on and gave us some bother towards the end as well, having shots at our goal. I think I'm just trying to work out in my mind whether it was Declan Rice that managed to sort of pick up the ball originally, or maybe Souček. But, both of those central midfielders, Souček and Rice, are probably going to be getting some pelters from Tottenham fans. I really like both of them. I think Souček offers something that we don't really have, which is that kind of size and that ability to trouble, certainly trouble all of our back line in the air. And Rice, we'll be clear, I think that Hugo was man of the match. I think you agree to that as well. You chaps agree. But for West Ham, Rice was outstanding.
It's good, Rice.
I think, yeah, I mean, again, I'm going to get pelters. I would really love Declan Rice at Tottenham because I think he offers something, that is of a higher quality than we have in say, a player like Højbjerg. And at the moment, he's the type of player that's keeping Winks out of the England team, by quite some distance. I mean, let's be clear, Winks has got quite a long way to go to get back to that. But Declan Rice really stands out for me as a marauding, now say a buccaneering central midfielder who links the attack. And so credit to Bowen for the goal. Disappointing from Dyer for just being sloppy with passing out from the back. That's something that we really need to tighten up on, and I'm pretty sure that Conte will have some stern words, because one of the things that was really, really poor under Nuno, and I think you'll all agree, was the quality of our passing. It was just shocking. And what we can see today is crisper, more clinical passing, and the ability to move the ball around. And clearly with the goal today, it'll be something which Dyer kicks himself for. But he does have the ability to be a really class defender. He just needs to, tighten up on these bits of his game where, he can be loose with his passing. He's clearly got a Toby Alderweireld style punt downfield, and he can be really commanding in the area. So disappointing for him today, but, we won the game. Let's move on.
Graham, that's a good point. Do you think us as Tottenham fans, certainly I know on Twitter they are, but do you think us as Tottenham fans, when a player makes a mistake like this, even though we've won the game, are we too critical?
I think that the problem with our fan base, and me included, is we've suffered for such a long time, Chris. Things haven't gone our way. I think, you find me a Tottenham fan in the pub who can't list off the number of bad decisions that have gone against us, the things that have gone wrong, the misfortunes, I don't want to say bottling it, but I'm going to say it because it's always levied at us. We have players that make mistakes, and those mistakes cost us quite big. and then we have opportunities that we don't take. And because we've been starved of success for such a long time, these mistakes are amplified, in the echo chamber that is Spurs Twitter, any kind of Spurs social media, and the frustration just boils over with us fans, and that's why we have, a really, I guess, short span of attention for players that don't perform and repeatedly don't give us the results that we need. We've been starved of that, Chris. So yes, we can be critical, but there's good reason why we're critical, and we all want to be optimistic, but naturally the life of a Spurs fan is to be pessimistic, because as well as I do that, as we move towards the end of that game, we were all quite nervous that we were going to concede. I think Josh has just done it. I nearly had a heart attack, really panicking, because we've seen so many times, not just with that Lanzini, top bin screamer last year, we've seen so many times that we've conceded when we really needed to win. And that game could have gone the other way. They could have nodded it in and beat us on penalties, something horrific. But, pleased that we've got there in the end, and let's try and be a little bit less critical and a little bit more positive. That starts with me too.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, I wasn't that nervous, Graham. We've got Antonio Conte now. This is the difference. We've got to, something has to change, and this is it. So hopefully the trophies will be coming now. Gary, let's come to you. In the 34th minute, Tottenham Hotspur went 2-1 up through Lucas Moura. Great work from Steven Bergwijn, as we've all said, throughout the stream already. And, it's just so nice, isn't it, that Steven Bergwijn and Lucas Moura are getting on the score sheet, because, when Harry Kane's in the team, we all rely on Harry Kane so much to get the goals. It is nice to see a lot of other players now scoring.
Yeah, great by Bergwijn, man. All about Bergwijn, wasn't it? Moura as well today. There was a couple of times I saw once in the middle of the park, he gave the ball away really sloppily and easy. I think I made a note of it actually, because he ran back and retrieved the ball and got it back, and it was really impressive to see, because a lot of players, when that happens, they don't really put the effort in to try and sort of mop up their mistakes, but he did, and that was really good. And look, we all know Moura can lose the ball at times and stuff, but he gives it all. And Bergwijn, look, his run, his confidence today. I'm quite excited to see Bergwijn play again now. I don't know if he'll start in the next league game. He probably won't. But I think doing that tonight will probably get him a bit more game time anyway. And when he does come on for, say, the last 10, 15 minutes, whoever it may be, he'll be up for it. And that's what you want. Do you see what I mean? And that goes to all the players. I was going to say, Gary,
isn't it a perfect time for these players to take opportunities when we've got games coming thick and fast? We're playing on the 26th on Boxing Day, 2 days later on the 28th, and then 3 days later on the 1st against Watford. So, a lot of these players will get opportunities.
And that's what I mean. And it's kind of a bit exciting now, because if you think about Dombele and you think about Dele Alli and Winks and Bergwijn, and to a certain extent Dyer and all these players now, they're all playing pretty good. So you're kind of thinking, when it's rotated, when the substitutions were made tonight, I wasn't overly worried, but I was beforehand under Nuno and stuff. He was so bad with substitutions anyway. But whenever they were made, you were never really confident with the players coming on, the ones going off. It was just. But now you're looking at all these players and you're thinking, under Conte, they really want to sort of make their mark, and that's what's happening. And that's what you want. Yes, you've got the really good creative players like Dombele, which we know he's capable of that. But you've also got the players that are not quite as creative and not quite as good, like the Winks and the Bergwijn and stuff, but they're still improving. So look, let's not beat around the bush. We've beaten a very good West Ham team tonight, and it wasn't, they didn't put out a weak team like Liverpool did. This was a very strong West Ham team. They wanted to beat us and win this game more than anything. As Josh Graham, that was their cup final. Right, so don't be under no false illusions about that. So, and we rotated our team, and it wasn't as strong as the game against Liverpool, the team we put out, but we beat them, and that is only a positive thing. So I'm buzzing. Yes, I would have liked to have got a third goal, because at 2-1, I know, Chris, you said you wasn't worried, but I'm sure when that crossbar got rattled at the end, you must have been slightly nervous, because I was.
No, I was very confident we were going through to the semis. I actually predicted a 2-1 as well.
Did you? I said 3-1. And I think if Son
Yeah.
was 100% fit, it would have been 3-1. He's just that little bit off at the moment, but it'll come back. It'll come back.
Josh, let's come to you. Gary mentions there about Antonio Conte and substitutions. He seems to love a sub or two, and he seems to want to change it up, and he seems to want to use this squad. You know, he wants to use every single player at the moment. So, you know, he's come in, everybody's got a clean slate, and everyone's now got to take their opportunities. It's weird, isn't it? Because, you know, 6 weeks ago under Nuno Espirito Santo, Nuno was standing there on the touchline with his arms folded,
Like
you know, very, very static. We've got a very different manager running up and down the touchline, you know, constantly shouting and, you know, barking instructions at the team and making some very, very good subs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's the passion and it's the belief and it's just the positivity. I think someone put it in the comment. I read a comment and it summed everything up so well. It says, Jose Mourinho, when we were actually doing really well and we were at the top of the league, he said that we're donkeys in a horse race. Whereas now, Conte says that I can be the best in the world. It's like that psychology, isn't it? It's putting some belief, putting some inspiration in the minds of our players and basically giving them a spoon and saying, you can kind of go anywhere. You can do anything. Instead of putting them down and putting them under the thumb, you want to be inspiring your players. At the end of the day, they're employees of the club, and you want to. They want good results. You can't if you're in a business and you start saying, "Oh, you're a rubbish salesman. You're really bad at this." Then it's not going to It's not going to do them any good, is it? You want to inspire them, and that's what Conte is really, really, really good at. And when you watch Conte Cam, it may look a bit like funny in that when he's so passionate. It may be a bit of an act. But I actually just think he's such a passionate man. And it's a good thing. It's exactly what we needed. I remember watching those games, like when we went to Wolves away when Nuno was our manager and we won 1-0 because of a Dele Alli penalty. And Nuno was just at the other end of the pitch in his dugout and he was just standing there the whole game. Now you watch Conte and he's driving up and down. He's jumping on the assistant managers. He's like screaming, getting the crowd going, waving his arms up. It's exactly what you want. Exactly what you want. I'm just really glad that we got him. I'm so glad we got him, and I'm glad that he's your new panels, Chris. Antonio Conte is the new panels.
I love the guy. I absolutely love the guy. I tell you what, Josh. I want to ask you: if we don't win trophies up under someone like Antonio Conte, what on earth do we do?
I don't know. We may as well just go to Arsene Wenger, to be honest.
It has to happen, surely.
It will happen.
I know. I don't think we can.
Watch your mouth out, Josh.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say I was only
the trophies, not Arsene Wenger.
No, I was saying like if we can't win any trophies under Mourinho or Conte, that's what I was saying. The next option is Arsene Wenger. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah,
I want to put it out there to all of you. Let's start with you, Josh. Are we going to win this trophy in February 22?
No. We're not going to win. I'm not to be negative.
Okay.
I just don't see us
Graham,
winning.
Graham, let's come to you. I'm not interested in those. Graham, let's come to you.
Well, I'm going to say yes, Chris, because you're interested in yeses. I mean, why not? You know, look, there's been so many moments in our history as Spurs fans where we've flattered to deceive. You know, we've got to many semi-finals, we've got to a number of finals, and you know we haven't turned up. We just haven't turned up. You know, we didn't turn up in the cup final last season. We didn't turn up in the Champions League final.
Yeah. You
know, there's been other games where we haven't turned up. You know, big games, and now's the time. You know, now's the time with General Conte, or Big Tony as I call him. You know, leading the Lily White Army. Sorry?
The conductor.
Yeah, he's the conductor, and he's going to get a tune out of our players, and we're going to make a symphony, and that symphony is going to be a beautiful thing because I can't wait to see Spurs fans celebrating again. You know, I've got this sort of image in my mind of seeing thousands of Spurs fans just absolutely losing the plot. You know, Wembley crammed to the rafters with Spurs fans singing, no more tears. About the time that we got a pot, we got a trophy, our players shook that monkey off the back, and we've got some silverware. You know, and then there's something that we can build from. You know, I don't care whether it's the Carabao Cup. You know, I'm really happy that we get that. I'm sure that fans of other clubs, including those people down the road, will laugh at us. You know, they'll say, "Well, it's just the Carabao Cup," but it's a start. And yes, we can win it. We need to not only believe, but have that confidence running through our players. The game plan to go and beat Chelsea, and if we can beat them over I didn't know it was 2 legs, but if we can beat them over the 2 legs, then who's to say that we can't best Liverpool in the final? Because it would be our time, you know, and we really deserve it. You know, us Spurs fans, we really, really deserve some kind of victory, and Antonio Conte is going to bring that to Tottenham. So the answer is a bit of a roundabout one, Chris, but it's a yes from me.
Do you know, Graham, I don't really buy into the whole, you know, it's only the Carabao Cup, because Manchester City, you know, have taken it very seriously for years and have won it, you know, a lot in recent years. And when I did the tour when I was up in Manchester a couple of years ago at the Etihad Stadium, they had equal billing for Premier League winners, Carabao Cup winners. They take these competitions very seriously and they want to win the competition. So if Spurs did win it, I don't care less who laughs about, you know, us winning a trophy, because, you know, the trophies are way overdue. 2008, our last trophy, it's just unreal. But can you imagine beating West Ham tonight, beating Chelsea, you know, Antonio Conte's former club, beating Chelsea, and then facing Arsenal, our North London rivals, in a final for the very first time in our history, and lifting a trophy in front of Arsenal at Wembley? It would just be incredible. Am I getting carried away here, Gary?
God, yeah, you just I've got all goosebumps.
Oh, come on. Come on, I'm excited.
Yeah, do you know what? It would be amazing, because that takes me back. You know, I don't know if you see that behind me, but that's the signed shirt from the free kick in the semi-final against Arsenal, and then obviously going on to beating Forest in the final. I mean, that for me, you know, was the last big final. Well, that was 30 years ago, Chris. You know,
Josh wasn't born.
Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. 30 bloody years ago, you know. But you just said it there. I don't give a monkey's what trophy it is. Look, Chris, you and me, we went to France, Amsterdam. You know, like you said, we done that trip. We done the flights. We had all the delays. You know, we back Tottenham, and whatever trophy it is, we'll back them for it. And listen, if we win the Carabao, if we go back in Europa Conference and win that, whatever we win, people are going to banter. If it's not the league or it's not the Champions League, but at the end of the day, it's still a stepping stone. Look, we got to the Champions League final, we didn't win it, but we still got to the final. If we could get to the Carabao Cup final like we did last season, but go one step further and win it, to me, Chris, and fans will probably think I'm mental, but honestly, I would be probably just as happy winning the Carabao Cup trophy as what I would have been winning the bloody Champions League, because it's a trophy and it's the final and it's been there with all the fans and it's winning some silverware. Yes, we want the Premier League. Yes, we want the Champions League. But let's just start on a stepping stone, you know. Let's get Winks playing. Let's get Delhi playing. Let's win the Carabao Cup and then push forward and go for the Champions League and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what, though, Gary? 6 weeks ago, as I said, we weren't even having a shot on target. We were all very depressed as Tottenham Hotspur fans.
Yeah, it was
thinking
terrible.
We were nowhere near the top 4, nowhere near even a Europa League place. And now Antonio Conte's come in, transformed us. We're now in a semi-final of a major cup competition. It's just incredible, isn't it?
Chris, you know, how down were we with Vitesse? I mean, Amsterdam and that was an all-time low, mate. I mean, that was shocking. And it was getting to the point where I was almost getting angry listening to Nuno. He was just winding me up because he was just so dull, so boring. And like you said on touchline, he wasn't making substitutions. He's standing there with his own arms folded. Now it's totally different. Now it's almost like, you know, I knew tonight wouldn't be an easy game, right? I knew the performance that we put against Liverpool, it wasn't going to be a straightforward go. I knew that we'd rotate the team, but at the end of the day, I was confident that we'd come through it, and we did. And we've just knocked West Ham out, mate, in the quarterfinals. You know, we're in the semi-final Carabao Cup. We've just drawn with Liverpool at home, where no one gave us a chance, where we should have won anyway. Like the improvements are just going up and up. And the other thing, Chris, is what you need to bear in mind is that's rotating the team. That's changing the players.
Yeah.
And we're still getting results. And like Josh said, we ain't lost at home. So I think we can start getting a little bit excited. But I still would like it to be over 2 legs, if I'm honest, when we play Chelsea. I would like the 2 legs, if I'm honest.
So yes or no, Gary, are we lifting this trophy in February?
Well, if we were still in the Europa Conference, I would have preferred the Europa Conference, like I told you. Because to me, I couldn't give a monkeys if people say it's 3rd, 4th tier. It's still a European trophy. But because we've been rudely and unfairly thrown out of that, at the moment, it would seem. Quite annoying when you think how much we spent travelling, Chris, but we won't go into that. I would say, yes, we can win the Carabao Cup, and we probably will. And I don't think if we did win it, when we get to the final, right, and we do win that trophy, I think we're going to be at a point with Tottenham, with Conte and with the players. We're not even going to be that surprised. You know, I think that's the way Tottenham's going now.
Josh will be.
I genuinely don't think we'll be that surprised because we've improved so much under Conte. Because, you know, from day one, I said Conte's the only manager.
Do you know why I'm this excited? Because when you see what Antonio Conte has done in just 6 weeks,
yes,
imagine where we are going to be in 6 months. Imagine where we're going to be, you know, in the summer.
That's what
Josh,
I mean.
have we convinced you yet?
I don't know. Every time, I know you're so positive, but it just brings me back to the peak of Tottenham when we got to that Champions League final and we had so much belief. Yeah. And that squad was our best team. Literally, it was unbelievable, that Ajax game, and we got to, and then they just choked. And I said to my dad in that stadium when I saw you, Chris, in Madrid, in the stands, I said, I don't think this team has got the mental capacity to actually, like, this group of players. I think they just keep choking. So I don't know. They might be able to under Conte, but I think
we got January as well.
True. If Conte can bring in, there's at the end of the day, there's a lot of new faces. You've got the Højbjergs, you've got the Reguilons, you've got a lot of new faces in this team compared to that final. But yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. I really would love us to see us win a trophy. That's the one thing I'd absolutely love to see before I die. Literally, because I don't know. I think though, like, you know, like, I totally get what you're saying, Josh, and you know, I understand that feeling, and I get that in the league for going for top 4. But I look at the Carabao Cup and I look at the teams that are left in it, and the quality of the teams that are left in it and stuff. And let's be honest, Liverpool ain't going to field their strongest team and stuff, and Chelsea probably won't. They're very different. Arsenal are not great anyway, you know. And I look at the teams that are left, and I think to myself, we've got a really, really, really good chance of winning that competition with what teams are left in it, you know. And I generally do. I don't think we're there for top 4, depending on what happens in January, but I don't think we're quite there for top 4. But I do think the Carabao Cup is something that we could definitely win this season, 100%. You know, I really do, because I think we're probably the best team still left in it, if I'm honest.
Well, Spurs obviously play Chelsea and Arsenal play Liverpool, so it'll be very interesting to see. Josh, I want to come back to you. Question on screen now. Joe Rodon still not getting a look in.
God, Joe Rodon.
What are your thoughts on Joe Rodon? Do you think he's going to have a future under Conte or not?
I don't know. I don't think he is, to be fair. I think he would have utilised him by now. Like, he's utilised Bergwijn and he's utilised even Matt Doherty. He's played a couple of games, but Rodon just hasn't got a look in. And as I said earlier, I think Antonio Conte has a big liking for Ben Davies. He really likes Ben Davies, and he's not even a natural centre-back. And he's playing him at left centre-back. So I don't think Joe Rodon's going to get a look in, especially with no European competitions. I think that would be the competition where Joe Rodon would get a bit of game time, but we're out of the Conference League now. So yeah, I don't know. I think he might be off on loan. From what I've read, I think Newcastle want him on loan. So I think that would do him some good as well. I think he's got a lot of talent, Joe Rodon. I think he's not a bad football player at all. So I think we should send him on loan and give him a bit more confidence. I even think the same about Bergwijn. Even though he scored and got an assist tonight, I genuinely think he should go on loan somewhere and really get up to speed again, because he, as Graham said earlier, he lost his fitness And I just don't think he's going to get it this season at Spurs because he's just not going to get enough game time. I think he needs to go somewhere, and he needs to go somewhere that he'll play every game and then bring him back to Spurs. And we need to bring him back confident. We need to bring him back fit, and so he scores quite a few goals abroad. I think he needs that confidence because it's much harder in the Premier League, of course. But yeah, I think there's a lot of positivity, and it's good to see. Chris, are you outside the stadium?
I'm very near the stadium. Very near.
Yeah.
Very near. Josh, I want to stay with you. Faz has written a comment on screen now, which I personally think is very hard to answer right now. This would have been, and I'm with Gary on this, a week or so ago, it would have been very easy to answer. But now I feel like it's a very difficult question. If you were to all name 3 players who you'd like Tottenham Hotspur to sell in the January transfer window, who would they be? Josh, let's start with you.
First, Doherty. Matt Doherty, he just hasn't been good enough, so he's got to go. Galini, I know he's only been here since the summer, but I'd just get rid of him and bring in another keeper. And then the third one, I almost said Moussa Sissoko then, but he's not in the football club anymore. That is a really tough one. Probably, I know if it's really silly after his performance today, but I would just send Bergwijn on loan or send Ali on loan. Them 2 players, send Ali to a Newcastle and make sure there is no buy clause. Just send him on loan, pure loan, that's it. Half a season loan, and then bring him back.
Personally, I wouldn't get rid of Dele Alli because I think that Conte will get the best out of him again, and I'm certainly hoping so. I'm a big Dele Alli fan.
I want to keep him now.
if I was to choose my 3, I'd probably go with Joe Rodon, Lo Celso, because I just feel like Lo Celso doesn't really offer us very much at all. And Matt Doherty. Graham, let's come to you. Who are your 3?
Yeah, so you just named the one I would get rid of, and that's Gio Lo Celso. I think he's too lightweight for the Premier League. Yes, he looks like a superstar when he plays for Argentina, but there's a reason for that, right? He's when you're playing at that international level, it's not the same standard quality, consistent quality. I don't think it's the Premier League. Yeah, people can shoot me down and say, playing against teams like Brazil, but they obviously world-class team. But the other teams they're playing beyond Uruguay, Chile, I think in the South American tournaments, it's easier to look class. Whereas I think in the Premier League, he doesn't really stand out. He hasn't done a lot. Not only that, but he's injured most of the time. And I think he's too lightweight. So Gio Lo Celso for me, don't disagree with Matt Doherty. I think most people can see it hasn't really worked out for him at Tottenham. So he's definitely one we could move on. And then maybe being a bit controversial, but I'd like to see Dave Sanchez move. I think he doesn't really offer enough as a ball playing centre back. He looks quite stressed when the ball gets played to him. Defensively, I don't think he's particularly commanding. Yes, he can be good when he's lunging to try and block the ball. We saw that a couple of times tonight. But I don't think he's the quality of centre back that Tottenham need if we're going to, be better than we are. And we're a sort of sixth place team in the Premier League. Let's be clear. So players like Dave Sanchez, who for me don't really cut it. I think we need to be aiming a bit higher. Maybe we'll talk about who we want to bring in, and in a bit later. But I think those are the 3 for me: Lo Celso, Doherty, and Dave Sanchez.
Gary, what about you?
They were the same 3 as me. I wrote them down: Sanchez, Doherty, and Lo Celso.
You're the man.
Yeah, same. Because I just touching on what Graham said. Don't get me wrong. I think Sanchez has improved.
Gary,
are you going to say it, Chris?
You'd love to sing this song, wouldn't you, Gary?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing with Sanchez for me, like what Graham said, I think he has improved. But there's this thing about Sanchez when the ball comes to him, it's like he just panics and still gets really nervous. And he just can't get rid of that. And don't get me wrong, I think against Liverpool, he did some really good sliding blocks. And he did a couple in the game tonight and stuff. But he's still one of them players who always seems very nervous and uneasy on the ball. And his first touch isn't always great. And we all know he can still get twisted and be on the wrong side of defenders and so forth. So I'm not saying he hasn't improved, but definitely Sanchez for me. Doherty, because I just think he's just I don't know what's happened to Doherty. I mean, you know, since he's come in from day one, he's shown nothing. And Lo Celso, because I don't even really know what Lo Celso does. It's so frustrating with Lo Celso. He just kind of like disappears in games and doesn't really do much and goes down way too easy. So he's quite a hard watch when Lo Celso's playing. So that's my three. That's my three.
And he's more injury prone than Lamella.
Yeah. And the other thing is West Ham get battered everywhere they go. Josh,
everywhere they go. Everywhere they go.
Josh, let's start with you. I want to ask, who is your player of 2021? Now, I'm asking you guys this question, but I couldn't quite decide. So I've gone with two. I've gone with Heung-min Son, and I've also gone with Hugo Lloris because, you know, we've all spoken about how great Hugo Lloris is for this club, and we all hope that he gets a brand new contract. But Heung-min Son, I think, has been exceptional yet again. Josh, who's your player of the calendar year 2021?
I'd say Sonny as well. I think he's just so incredible. He shows so much loyalty. He loves our fans. He loves the club. He's done so well this year. He just gets better. He's like Lloris. He seems to just get better and better. His stats show that he's getting better. He's scoring more goals. He's superb. We're so lucky to have him. So yeah, I totally agree. And obviously, top mentions to Lloris as well. He's been superb. But yeah, I wouldn't say anyone else. I don't think anyone else has really shone out apart from in the past couple of months. Eric Dyer. He's if you could have a player of Antonio Conte so far, it'd be Eric Dyer.
Yeah. Graham, what about you?
Yeah, it's difficult to sort of differ from what Josh has said. You know, Son is a standout player. I think, you know, Dyer has stood out. I think also you could say Ben Davies has had a resurgence under Antonio as well. But he's definitely not the top player of 2021. So you're right. Between sort of Hugo and Sonny, you know, it's got to be between them. You know, honourable mention to Oliver Skip. You know, he's come from, you know, a championship winning side at Norwich, where, you know, clearly he was their star player, and, you know, I think he got player of the season for them, one of the championship players of the season, and he's come into the team, and, you know, while he's not got the stature of Heung-min Son or Hugo Lloris or even anywhere near the experience, honourable mention needs to go to Oliver Skip, because he's come through and matured into tenacious ball-winning midfielder. So, you know, he's close on for me, partly because of his resurgence into the first team. He's really claimed that spot. You know, arguably, you'd say now that he's sort of ahead of the pecking order of Højbjerg, and clearly he's been ahead of Winks as well. So, you know, in that order, I'd probably say Son, Hugo, and Skip.
Gary, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Son wins it for me. You know, obviously signing a new contract. It was only the other day I watched his documentary again, Sensational, and I just think how committed he is to Tottenham, and football is his, you know, football and Tottenham is his life. And I don't think you can say any other player is fully committed as Son. But I would give a mention to Højbjerg, because he has pretty much played every single game. And yes, he might not be the most, you know, technical gifted player, but he gives everything to Tottenham. He reminds me a bit like a Gary Mabbott and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Gary, for anyone wanting to see Højbjerg's passion at the end of that game, I was actually down by the tunnel straight after the game, and Højbjerg, his passion going, you know, walking down that tunnel was absolutely amazing. So, you know, we see that passion from our manager, Conte. You know, he's trying to transform, you know, this squad and put that passion onto the pitch. Højbjerg is definitely one of those players with the passion. And I think we've said this many times on this channel as well about Højbjerg possibly being a future Tottenham Hotspur captain.
Yeah, definitely. I don't, you know, we all know he hasn't got the ability, you know, and like what Graham said, probably ability-wise, he probably might be slightly under there than what Skip is as well. But just sheer determination, dedication, and for the team, because he's one of them players, you know, when you've got sort of 5 minutes left in a game, you know, like the game tonight, and you're kind of holding on a bit and stuff, and you need them sort of Højbjergs. You know what I mean? And as much as we love Son and Lucas Moura and stuff, they're the sort of players that can give the ball away in that. Do you know what I mean? And they make you quite nervous and stuff. And they don't mean to, but they just get caught up and lose it. Whereas someone like Højbjerg, that very rarely happens. He'll go through a tackle with both legs, and if he has to take a yellow card in the last few minutes of the game, he'll take it. But that's why, for me, you know, I put Son up there, but Højbjerg just slightly under, just because I think, I think he played literally nearly every game, didn't he? Especially under Mourinho and that. Do you remember? It was just, he was probably the first player on the team sheet, wasn't he? So yeah, I really do like Højbjerg as well. But Son just edges it for me. So
now, before we talk about the January transfer window, which of course, as it's approaching midnight, you know, it's open in 8 days' time, and of course, our next 3 Premier League games on the 26th, 28th, and 1st of January. I just want to get all of your 3 thoughts on the Europa Conference League. Of course, Tottenham have been dumped out of the competition. Gary, it would only be right to start with you because, as you've mentioned, you know, we've done all of the European trips, you know, in the Europa Conference League. You know, what are your thoughts of Tottenham being dumped out? Because personally, I'm definitely in the minority of Tottenham Hotspur fans. I'm disappointed of us not being in this competition. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, totally. Exactly the same. You know, it was quite difficult at the point where we got thrown out, and it was obviously, you know, said on Sky Sports, and I was going on social media. I had to come off it because there was a lot of Tottenham fans and supporters, you know, their attitude was like, well, I'm glad we're out of that crappy competition, waste of time anyway, and stuff like that. And, you know, they don't personally know you or me, Chris, but I just think it's a real, you know, kick in the bollocks to fans like you and me that have travelled all over the country. Do you know what I mean? For Tottenham, you know, all that driving and, you know, and everything else. And I just think, I think it's unfair that we've been thrown out of it. I can see the logic in the fans saying, well, you know, it's not a bad thing. I get that. But it still was another opportunity to win a trophy, and it was a European trophy. So for me personally, you know, and you, Chris, especially, we spent a lot of time, money, you know, going on all those trips. And we did that because we follow Tottenham, we support them. And ultimately, we wanted us to progress and win Europa Conference. I did, you know. And I think if you're a Tottenham fan, you should really want Tottenham to win any competition they're in, whatever it may be, you know. So that was just a tough one for me. It was probably more difficult reading and listening to some of the fans when we've been thrown out. It was almost like a celebration to them, which didn't sit quite right with me. But again, you know, everyone has their opinion. And I'm sure a lot of people, Chris, would have thought we were mad, the journey that we did to France. It was pretty bonkers. But, you know, it's Tottenham and it's what we do, isn't it? So it is what it is.
Josh, what are your thoughts on Tottenham being thrown out of the competition? Because, of course, you know, I'm a person that tries to see positives out of negatives, and you know I do see the positives in that Tottenham can now focus on the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. Of course, you know we're in the semi-finals now, and most importantly, the league position, trying to finish in that top 4 to get Champions League football next season. Were you a fan of the Europa Conference League or not?
I mean, I wasn't able to go on any of the away trips, but I totally agree with what Gary said. You must be, if you put in the effort. And I know what it's like because I used to do all the Champions League away games and stuff to Bayern Munich and whatnot. And it must drive you mad as a fan who's gone to Holland, you've gone to France, and Chris, you went to Portugal as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
To go and watch Pacos. I mean, it's all just down the toilet now, which is such a shame because we've just been thrown out. So all that effort you put in is just in vain, really. It's for nothing.
It's a lot of money as well, Josh.
I know it's not fair on you. It's just ridiculous. It's not fair at all. However, yeah, like you said, there's always two sides to a coin. It does mean that the lads are going to have more fitness. They're going to have to focus on the Premier League to try and get us top 4, which is going to be much better than trying to win a trophy that would get us into the Europa League. Because if you win the Conference League, you get in the Europa League. And that would be quite difficult still. There's quite a few decent sides in the Conference League. But it's disappointing. It is disappointing. I totally agree with you. But I think, obviously, we're out now. You've got to look at the positives. And these boys have only really got to play 1 game a week. And we're going to be competing with the teams at the top of the league who are playing Champions League football, who are playing Europa League football. And they'll be disadvantaged. Their squads are going to be thin. A bit like Liverpool when we played Liverpool. They were quite thin. They've had to play a lot of games in Europe. They've got COVID issues. We've got COVID issues, but we're going to have an advantage now because we haven't got to play any knockout rounds in Europe. We haven't got to do any of the travelling. We haven't got to go to Kazakhstan or something and then play an important Premier League game the next day. We haven't got
it will seem weird though, Josh, won't it? No European football for Spurs. December onwards.
Yeah, I tell you. Do you know what though? Do you know what my big point? Look at Arsenal. I know I don't like talking about Arsenal, but look, they've improved this season. You can't deny that. Yeah. Arsenal under Arteta have improved. Why? They haven't got any European football. They play one game a week, and they don't have to worry about changing the team. They don't have to worry about throwing in youngsters, travelling, splitting the squad up.
You're right.
We won't have to worry about that anymore. We don't have to worry about any of it. We've just got to focus on domestic trophies and the Premier League. And I think that is actually, although it is a bit of an annoyance, I think it could be a blessing in disguise, honestly. I think it could allow us to get in the top four. And if you were, Chris, if someone gave you an option of going to Tirana and getting in the final or getting top four, what would you choose?
Josh, do you know what? And it may surprise a lot of viewers and it may surprise you. I'd actually booked my flight for the final to Albania.
Oh.
So
it didn't surprise me because I knew you had.
Josh, I think you know me very, very well now that I like to go to every single game, and every single time I go to a game, whether it's in UK or Europe, I'm going because I believe that my football club is going to win that match.
Yeah.
Do you know what I thought, Chris? Just quickly, just not changing the subject, staying on the subject, but what about the home game with Rennes? I paid for a family package for that. What happens with the money for that?
The club actually did announce on an email in the last 24 to 48 hours that refunds will be processed very, 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 very soon. So that will be happening, Gary. We won't be
able to claim the money back on the toll roads in France, though, Chris, will we?
No, sorry about that. Graham, very quickly, your thoughts on the Europa Conference. Does this do us a favour, in your opinion?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, speaking with your heart, you think, well, we need to be in these competitions, because as you just said, Chris, you as a fan, you've got to believe that these are games that we can win. But we also need to be a bit pragmatic and use our head a little bit. As Josh has already said, we now have less games to worry about. We didn't really perform very well in that competition. We, as we've got a fixture pile-up coming, you're going to be in a position where, we're going to be having to play players in games which are perhaps less important for the long-term future of Tottenham. And I think, it would have added so much extra pressure to our schedule that it's probably a good thing that we've actually gone out at this stage for us, because we can concentrate on what's important. And sad as it is to say, what we really want to do is not only perhaps win a trophy in the Carabao Cup, but we want to get back in the Champions League. We don't want to be playing in the Europa League or the Europa Conference League. So I'm gutted for you, Chris, do you know what, though, Graham? Going to be in the final, but you still get to go to Albania. You still get to go.
Part of me feels like so many Spurs fans have been very snobby about this competition. Oh, this competition is not good enough for us. But we were in the competition because that was our level.
I know.
That's it, Chris. That's what frustrated me on social media. The day that Sky Sports announced that we'd gone out of it, I had to stay off Twitter and Facebook, because it was just like, a lot of the Tottenham fans, like what you said, they just expect us to be in the Champions League. Well, we're not in the Champions League, and we only just scraped getting into Europa Conference League. So that's the competition we're in. I don't get their mentality, and then them saying we're too good for it. But how are we too good for it if that's what we were in?
It changes, Gary. It changes with performances. We're starting to see, we've been discussing this earlier on, that Antonio Conte can not only build the team in his likeness, the team with passion, ability, a game plan, multiple attacking options where we can score goals and cause a threat to pretty much any team. That we perhaps with just the push that Antonio's bringing, we're not actually that far away from where we should be, because We've put all the places. We've put all the pieces in place. Yes, I think, as we come up to the transfer window, we've got an opportunity to strengthen. If we can bring in 3 better players than the players that we've suggested might leave, then who's to say that Antonio can't work his magic, get the right players to play in the right position with the right tactics, and we could be right up there. I mean, look, Tuchel turned around Chelsea from a nothing team who were really struggling under Lampard to being a team that won the Champions League. And he did that through good coaching, good tactics. And so I don't think we're that far away. So it's not about whether or not we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it is an opportunity now to focus on what's really important to Tottenham. And that is, unfortunately, bigger things than the Conference League and the Europa League. We need to be looking higher.
Well, Graham, let's stay with you. Let's go on to the transfer window. Rob writes a comment on screen now. I said it about Dyer, Hugo Lloris giving short balls. Don't go to the centre backs for Højbjerg and Skip on the pitch. And Harry Winks Stow, only a 3 for me, Chris. And I want £70 million striker and play Harry Kane as a cam. Do you think, what do you think Antonio Conte wants to do in the future with this, Graham? What players are his mainstay players in this team, and where will he look to strengthen in the January transfer window? And also, how much money do you think that Spurs will spend in this January transfer window? Because personally, I'm thinking to myself, 1 or 2 players I think would be a good January transfer window. I know a lot of Spurs fans at the moment, they're expecting us to go out and spend a lot of money on a lot of players. I don't think that's realistic. Do you?
That really does depend on whether Mr. Levy can shake the magic money tree. We don't know how much he's squirreled away, but we were always told that there was money there for transfers. I think when we got Antonio Conte, most commentators in the media were thinking this isn't a fit, because Conte is a manager who, more recently, and we've seen this with Juventus and obviously Inter Milan, has gone out and cherry-picked players for his team, and they've actually spent big money. And so people associate Antonio Conte with getting what he wants. And part of the reason he left Inter Milan was he wasn't getting the players that he wanted. So there has to be something in the agreement with Paratici and Levy around giving Antonio the ability to choose his team, his future team. But coming back to your first question, who do I think is the core of the team? Well, naturally, he can transform Harry Kane away from a want-away striker into a striker who's going to stay with Tottenham and hopefully start to put in more goals. Clearly, we've got Son. Lucas can offer a threat, but I think we need to be improving on him in the future, because he's not that kind of creative playmaker we need. And I think also he's limited as a player. He can be quite blinkered. I think Skip will be part of the spine, and we'll offer Hugo that new contract. We've clearly already got Reggie, who's great and has bucket loads of ability, along with Romero. And I think what we should be looking for is Antonio and Paratici pulling the strings in their Italian connections. So we've got to be looking at players like, I don't know, a Frank Kessie. I think there's been a lot of talk about a player of his ability to come into the centre of our midfield and really perform that buccaneering role a la Declan Rice, what we saw today. And I think, a player like Kessie with Skip and Højbjerg as deputies to him would really take us up a notch. And then I think, given what's happened with Kane and the fact that his head has been turned, there's been a lot of talk about Dusan Vlahovic from, I think he's in Fiorentina. But the challenge you've got there, because you mentioned, Chris, it's how much is he going to cost, and are we willing to pay for that? You've also got to look at some of the. Sorry. Well,
Fiorentina wants £70 million for him. And
I'll
tell you what,
Man City will pay that, won't they?
Well, for those people who haven't seen much about Dusan Vlahovic, he is the real deal. He's 21 years old. He's banging in goals left, right, and centre. Incredible strike rate so far in the calendar year of 2021. If Tottenham can get this deal done, I'll tell you what, this would be a real statement signing, wouldn't it, Graham?
It'll be absolutely massive. I mean, it would catapult us into a position where I think with a signing like Vlahovic, a signing like Kessie, and like, I'm really going to town here, but if we can replace Dave Sanchez with, one of Conte's trusted former centre backs, maybe that's a De Ligt or a Skriniar. I know both of those players have been much vaunted in the past. You're really looking at changing the dynamic of Tottenham because we'd have another type of threat up front. We'd have solidity in the middle of the pitch, and we'd hopefully have a better ball-playing centre-back, which would give us the confidence to play out and play through the lines. And then, you're looking at a completely different dimension to this Tottenham team, Chris. So, there's some tweaks that could be made. I think we also need to ask ourselves what sort of right-back are we going to replace Doherty with? And, we'd be perhaps looking to raid the French leagues for some kind of marauding player. I know, there are options out there, but the one we wanted a few years ago, Hakimi's now gone to PSG. That's going to be unlikely, and then we're linked with perhaps other right backs from clubs in the Premier League who aren't doing as well as us. So, if we can bring in the three signings I mentioned, I know I'm in some kind of crazy Spurs dreamland, but I think you see a completely different dimension to Tottenham.
Gary, let's come to you. We know that at previous clubs, Antonio Conte has got what he wants. He likes to spend money. He likes to get the players in that he requires. To improve the team. Is it realistic that we go out and spend vast amounts of money and Tottenham do back him? Because surely for him to be successful at the club, we have to back him.
I think he will get backed, but I think it's a difficult window, January. So. Yeah. I'm under no false illusions that Levy's going to give him what he wants, but it's all good and well if you've got the money to spend in the store, but if you ain't got what you want, and I think that's going to be the problem in January. So I don't think it's going to be a case of, Levy's not going to back him and give him the money. I think Levy's learnt his lesson now with Mourinho and with Nuno. I think the backing's there because otherwise Conte wouldn't have come, but I just think January is just not the right window to really get everything sorted. I think he may improve. I think we may see one or two go out, one or two come in, but I think that's all going to happen in January. I think a lot of Tottenham fans in January will feel let down and disappointed, but you have to remember it's the January window, Chris. And guys, yourself, it's not the best one, is it? It's not ideal, really. So...
I think though, Gary, the window where a lot of Spurs fans feel disappointed and have done in the past is the summer one, because I'm like you. I think it's very, very difficult to sign good quality players in the January transfer window because unless they're out of favour or really out of form and not playing that well and not getting game time at other clubs, they're going to take time to fix anyway and get into good form, aren't they?
That's it, exactly that. And that's why, you can't rest too much on January, because I think once the summer window comes, I think that's where you're going to see a lot more changes and things are going to be a lot more ruthless. So I think January will just be testing the water, and you might have a couple go out on loan and, stuff like that, and maybe one or two come in. But I think the summer window will be the big one. And I think we'll know where we are by then. And if we are progressively improving, and the players that we do have at the moment are improving, we're rotating, and we're getting results, and we're winning, because after all, it doesn't really matter in the winter window or the summer window if we're winning games. As long as we're winning games, it doesn't really matter. You only have to look at West Ham 2 years ago when they were, striking, they were going mental, they were blaming the ground. As soon as they started winning, everything was forgotten. They won't be too happy tonight, obviously, which is great. So that's obviously nice of us for that. That will pay them off a bit. But ultimately, as long as we carry on the way that we're going, and like what Josh said, we haven't lost at home yet. So if we carry on winning these games and nicking results away, and these rotations are happening, and we're still staying in competitions, apart from the one we was unfairly thrown out of, then it's only a positive. It's a good thing. So I think we need to wait until the summer window anyway. It's just the way it is. But if we're still in all competitions and and we're winning, then it's all good, isn't it? I mean, we might have won the Carabao Cup by then.
Josh, what are you personally going to be happy with in the January transfer window? Josh, I think you're on mute.
Oopsie, sorry.
There you are.
I said I'd love a striker, and I'd really like a creative midfielder. Because I said for a long time we really need to replace Eriksen, and I still don't think we have. So I think we just need to get some kind of creative midfielder. I'm not exactly sure who, to be quite honest. Maybe like Damsgaard, the Danish lad. I think he was quality in the Euros. I really liked him as a creative midfielder. And then strikers, obviously Vlahovic. He looks quality, young lad. He just looks ridiculous, really. He reminds me a bit of Harry Kane. Tall. Yeah. He's just got that strike on him. Scores great penalties from what I've seen on YouTube. I don't really watch much of Serie A. But yeah, and as well, a bit of a one from far afield in the summer maybe. But like when we do see maybe Bergwijn moves off or Lucas might leave in the next 2 years, I think we should go Nick Cornet off Burnley. He's far too good to be at Burnley. He's a great player. I think he's really quality.
I think it's a great comment on screen here. I'll be happy with whatever Antonio Conte does. We've got to trust him. We've got to trust him. We've got to back him. You know, he knows. He's been there. He's got the T-shirt. He's won all the trophies, and hopefully he will deliver trophies for us. Graham, let's start with you. Want to talk about the? We're going to wrap this up shortly. Talk about our next 3 Premier League games. Games are coming thick and fast. We've got Palace at home on the 26th on Boxing Day, Southampton away on the 28th, and then we've got Watford away on the 1st of January. 9 points to play for. Realistically, how many points do you think Tottenham Hotspur will pick up?
Well, ask me that question, pre-Antonio Conte, and I'd have really struggled because, all of those teams have given us good games in the past. We really struggled against Palace last season, didn't we? And was it the start of this season, actually? Hang on, I'm trying to think, when the nightmare was. I think it was the start of this season, you're right, we lost 3-0. And I think, they're also dangerous teams, but, they're teams which I don't want to be sounding, like we're getting big for our boots, but we should be beaten. We should be beating Palace. We should be getting 9 points. I'll leave it there. We should be getting the 9 points.
Gary, what about you? 9 points?
Yeah, I think we will get 9 points. After watching us play Liverpool like we did, I can't see no reason why. I mean, look, I've just got to touch on that Liverpool game because that should have been another Villa-Liverpool result, shouldn't it? I mean, they should have probably lost 7-2 to us like they did to Villa. I mean, and looking at how we played like that, because I think sometimes you have to remember the team that you're playing and the way that they play as well. And I think sometimes with Spurs, the bigger the team, the more opportunities we have. Do you see what I mean? Because they leave themselves open at the back. And then when Son and Kane, bearing in mind Son and Kane didn't play tonight, and then we get them on the break in that. So what I love about Conte is he's got different systems and stuff for how we play. And he's exciting and he changes it. And that was a thing, Chris. When we was going to watch Nuno home and away, week in, week out, nothing changed. It was so stale. Yeah. The setup was the same. It was the same formation. It was the same players. It was the same substitution, which was hardly any. But with Conte, he sets up different. He tweaks things. And it was a totally different game tonight against Liverpool, like we knew it would be. But he played it good. He set up good and played it good with different players. So I think we'll get 9 points. I generally am confident that we will get 9. I could only see us winning our next few games. I really can,
I love Josh's face because, of course, me, Graham and Gary have all said that we're going to win the trophy. We're all now saying we're going to get 9 points. Like,
deluded, totally deluded.
Calm down. Gary, just want to stay with you for just one more second.
Yeah.
Rob writes on screen now, I've waited long enough, not waiting until the summer to lose out on top 4. Our stadium is one of the best in the world. What do you say to people that just don't want to wait? They want players delivered in January. Of course, we have both said it's going to be difficult trying to get good quality players in January. Do you think ultimately Antonio Conte will need to wait until the summer to really, really stamp his authority and get his own players in?
I think he will, but like what Graham mentioned we're not that far away from top 4. I mean, I do honestly think top 4 is up for grabs this season. It really is. because Man United, you know, Chelsea to a certain extent now, Tottenham, we're kind of all sort of there or thereabouts, you know. City and Liverpool are a different level in the league. But after them, you know, fourth is about. So January, I don't think is pivotal because we're not going to get everything we want in January, okay? Fans are not going to be happy. It's not going to happen. But I do think with the way Conte is getting these players to play, top four is possible with the team that we have right now. You know, and that's the thing. You know, we could get top four. Oh, nice. He's got the sweets. We could get top four with the team that we have now. You know? Oh, give us some of those, Josh.
Yeah, I know. They're the best ones.
And that, Chris, is what's giving me the confidence because I'm not waiting on a window, you know. Oh, mate, I'm the only one without any sweets here. You lot are showing me up.
Now, Josh, let's come to you. You give us a bit of a look there when me, Graham, and Gary said 9 points out of 9. Are you as positive as us?
No, I am. I think we are going to get 9 points out of 9, or maybe 7. We might draw. We might draw
there you go.
1. Yeah, we might draw 1. You know what I'm like. I'm a bit pessimistic. I think we'll get 7. I think we'll get 7 or 9. If we carry on playing like this, we can definitely get 9. And I'd love to be so positive. I tell you what, if we get 9 out of 9, I'll be as positive as you three.
Do you know, just quickly, Chris?
Go on, Gary. Go on.
Chris. Do you know what it is? It's a bit like if you've got a really good coach, you know, getting yourself ready for something. If you're doing things on your own and you've just got yourself to push, you don't push yourself as much. And that's what it was like under Nuno. But like what you mentioned earlier, when Sanchez just picked the ball up to go and throw it and Conte was down his neck, you have to bear in mind that Conte is not giving them a minute's peace, whether that be on the pitch, off the pitch, in the dressing room, probably when they're at home, whatever it may be. He's on them for their diet, their fitness, their formation, everything. When you have that, and also, Chris, the other thing which I wanted to touch on is when you have that, but you also have it in a very positive, nice way as well. So not like how Jose Mourinho was, but with Conte, where he's also bigging up like the Eric Dyers and the Winks and stuff like that. It's only going to go one way. It's only going to make them players better, you know. And some of them players, as we know, are not world class. But I can't really complain too much about Ben Davis. Dyer, yes, he made a mistake tonight, but amazing against Liverpool. Winks was brilliant. I just think that's the Conte effect. You know, and he's just making them believe in themselves. It's just as simple as that. You know, I'm loving it at the moment. It's good. We just beat West Ham, man. It's brilliant. Exactly. We couldn't have done that under Nuno.
It's so nice to do these streams when we keep winning matches. It really is. I've got 3 questions for you all. Well, they're all predictions, actually. I would like you know, and we'll start with you, Josh. I would like you to predict our league position at the end of the season. Whether we're going to win a trophy, yes or no, and who will be our most improved player under Antonio Conte come the end of the season?
Easy, all of them now.
I think we're going to finish 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I do. I think we're going to finish 3rd.
Wow. Beating me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't genuinely think we're going to finish 3rd. I think we'll finish above United, Arsenal, West Ham, maybe even Liverpool. No, not Liverpool. Sorry, I don't think we'll finish above Liverpool. I think it'll be hard to finish above Liverpool and Chelsea and Man City. They're the 3 teams I don't think will finish above them.
That makes us 4th.
I mean 4th. Yeah, so yeah, that's true. Yeah. Sorry, I'm this is why I have to snack on chocolate cookies. I'm tired. I think 4th. I thought that
was a little bit too positive from you, Josh.
Yeah, that's poor from me. I apologise. 4th. I think we'll get top 4, but we'll finish 4th. We're not going to finish above Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester City. I think we can definitely finish above the other teams.
Yeah.
And then the other question was if we're going to win a trophy. I think we might be able to win the FA Cup. I've got a feeling about the FA Cup.
You're still not convinced about this League Cup, Josh, are you?
No, I've got again. I just don't know. I remember, Chris. I remember being in that game where we lost on penalties to Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Can you remember?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah. I
I think.
don't want that to happen again.
I remember being in the final and beating them though.
Oh yeah, back in years ago.
We can beat them.
Yeah.
And Josh, who do you think will be the most improved player overall at the end of the season?
I tell you what, I reckon you were right, bang on early. I think it's going to be Harry Winks. I think we're going to see a lot more from Harry Winks. He really did impress me, especially against Liverpool. I thought he was outstanding. He looked like he was like lots of people used to call him Winkiesta, didn't they? Like Andreas Iniesta, his little turns and stuff. He wasn't playing pass sideways. He wasn't doing all his sideways passing. He actually looked like a progressive footballer. So I reckon Antonio Conte, he can improve him. And if you think about how's he improved him, I thought, how's he going to improve our whole team? First of all, we banned the ketchup. Second of all, he banned the mayonnaise. And I reckon he hasn't banned something, but he's definitely put something in their diet. And the only thing I can think of is it's pick and mix. That's the only thing I can think of. It's Gary's secret recipe.
There you
That's
go.
what it is, mate. It's making them hyper.
Graham, same 3 questions to you.
I'm going to go with Will, because we're all being blindly optimistic and deeply deluded today. I'm going to go with we're going to use the pick and mix power, and we're going to scrape 4th place on the last game of the season. We're just going to nick it. It's going to be amazing. Conte's wiggle fall off. I think we can win the Carabao Cup. And we've all put our name to that a bit earlier on. So I'm gonna stick with that. And then the most improved player, I don't think it's going to be Winks. I think it's going to be Harry Kane, because what we've seen from Kane so far this season hasn't been enough, and it hasn't been a lot. But there isn't much for Antonio to sort of change. He's got the ability. We know that. He's a clinical finisher. He's a world-class talent. And why can't he start to bang in the goals? Why can't he start to trouble those players who are going for the golden boot again? It's about time he started to score some more goals for us. We saw that with the quality finish against Liverpool, and the opportunities he got, the chances are coming. So why can't it be Kane? Why can it be a massive turnaround for him? He wins a trophy with Spurs. He goes on to be that legend. We start to sing his name again as vociferously as we did before. And it's all looking rosy under Antonio Conte, who signed all those new players and win the Champions League next season. Let's go. Coys.
Well, Gary, before I come to you, I'm going to give my thoughts. I think that we're now going to finish 4th in the league. I think that is definitely the aim, and I think that is exactly where Antonio Conte wants to be. And to play Champions League football next season, I think would be absolutely fantastic. That is exactly what our stadium's for, by the way. A trophy. Of course, the trophies are coming. They've been way overdue. They've got to be coming. Hopefully, in February 22, we lift the Carabao Cup. And thinking about it, in the start of January, we start our the FA Cup run as well against Morecambe at home. So hopefully, not as you mentioned earlier, Gary, 1991, last time we lifted the FA Cup. Ridiculous stats. So hopefully we can put that right as well.
30 years.
And most improved player, I'm sticking with Harry Winks, and I think that Ben Davies definitely needs a shout out there as well. Gary, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've wrote it down. Look, I don't know if you can see this.
You're getting very organised now with notes.
Yeah, look, I put 4th spot Carabao Cup, and Winks or Delhi. Kind of the Delhi one is I'm kind of probably more hoping, if I'm honest with you, because. For me, it's been that one player that I've never really ever wanted to see leave the club. And, it's been quite easy for me to say, get Doherty out, get Sanchez out and stuff like that. But when it comes to players like Dele Alli and Harry Kane, it's a whole different story. So for me, I'd like to say that come end of the season, the best improved player would be Dele Alli, but I think Graham's got a very good one there saying Harry Kane, because it can only get better for Harry Kane. But in the Carabao Cup, I mean, we're like 2 games away really from winning it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Do you know what I mean? When you really think about it.
As you mentioned earlier, Gary, at the moment it is 2 legs, but it could change. You know, what with COVID and all of the situation at the moment, it could change, and it just could be 1 game. So, you know, thinking about it, we could just be 90 minutes away from another final at Wembley. So hopefully we will lift this trophy again. Now there I go. I've mentioned the word again. It's been so nice to talk to all 3 of you tonight about another win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, because Antonio Conte is certainly doing the business right now. Josh, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and have a lovely Christmas.
You too.
And Graham, so nice to have you back on the channel. It's been far too long, so hopefully you can come back on very, very soon.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chris. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
And have a lovely Christmas.
Same to you, my friend. Of course.
And Gary, thank you so much as always. There'll be no more Europa Conference League trips for us, but you know, hopefully there'll be a trip to Wembley in February.
Yeah, you still won't get away from me. I'll still be sending you about 50 voice notes a day, regardless of you're in the Europa Conference or not. So you still get 30 hours of me in your ear.
Well, a lot of people have asked me, Gary, how on earth did I put up with you in the car for 25 hours?
A lot of sweets. You had a lot of pick and mix, didn't you? Earplugs. That was what it was. All right, lads, I'll tell you what was funny, right? Literally, Chris, well, I mean, we stayed awake for 30 hours with that trip, right? And every time, every other sort of journey went, he had a bag of sweets and another sweet. And every time he fell asleep, I was like leaning over as I was driving, because I'd always sat up. I was eating his sweets. He'd wake up and he'd be like, did I eat all them sweets? I went, yeah, you must have, mate. Go, I'll get another bag. I'm like, yeah, all right. He'd eat it, he'd fall back asleep, and then I'd finish them.
Well,
but Josh, you know what?
Go on.
I was just going to say very quickly, it's all memories. You know, listen, whether we're in this competition or not in this competition, it's all things that you'll remember, and it's part of being a Tottenham fan, you know, good or bad. You know, we stick with the team, and, you know, and that's what we do. You know what I mean? That's it.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, Graham and Gary, have a lovely Christmas, and thanks so much to everybody who's watched this stream so far this evening. And I know we've run over to midnight now, so apologies about that. But thanks so much for all of your comments and all of your support on the channel. If you don't subscribe to the channel as yet, please do hit that subscribe button. Let's hope that we're talking about another win on Boxing Day when we face Crystal Palace in the Premier League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Cannot wait for that one again, and I'm sure Antonio Conte will guide us to another 3 points. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone, and until the next video, come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.